Oh, of course I get a level up right now. Ah well, at least it didn't happen in the middle of the dungeon, because since it happened right here, I can just transition back into this area. So, now that we have that staff that the sage gave us, we can get into a battle with a bunch of zombies. Oh, thanks, game. Thanks for paralyzing me. No, really, that's not... Oh, and thanks, game. You paralyzed Max, too. That was mighty kind of you. Hey. Come on, Dante, suck your thumb faster. Oh, thanks, game. Thanks. Yeah, thanks. I didn't need him or anything. Oh, thank goodness Dante's back up. Alright, well, goodbye, everybody. Oh, come on! Okay, zombies, I thought you were supposed to be stupid, but no, they're actively going against the guy who could kill them all. That's smart or something. Stop being smart. Alright, game, I got the hint. I won't use fire attacks on them. I'll just kill them with my bare sword. And it's finally done, after 3 minutes. Thank you, game, for bestowing upon me many paralysis status effects. Sorry for saying they weren't that much of a nuisance earlier. Anyway, finally we can continue to the second half of the Earth Cave, which, remember how I had a whole bunch of problems with the first part of the Earth Cave? Well, they still hold up here. It's still got a very boring aesthetic that looks like every other, cave in the game. And of course the enemies are kind of uninteresting. Except this ogre mage, which I think I mentioned earlier. He can actually use magic, but you should be able to kill him before he does so. I believe his only attack magic is Blazara, but everything else he has is pretty much a status or buff spell. Again, you should be able to take him out before he, actually uses any spells that are, a spell. And the rest of the battle went as you would expect. So yeah, the thing about this, the battle? Oh, Sphinxes! I think these are actually pretty tough, right? High attack power? No. I guess not then. Alright, it's just in later games where they're actually relatively threatening. These guys and chimeras, they're usually the most difficult enemy. Well, not the most, but more difficult enemies. Usually you see them when you're getting to the whole difficulty spike portion of the game. But anyway, the thing about this dungeon is, unless there was some sort of memory limitation, I don't know why they didn't change up the whole design. I don't know why they didn't give it its own look. I mean, I can understand the first part of the dungeon. They were sort of trying to go for a sort of surprise. Like, they were trying to lure you into thinking, oh, it's just another ordinary dungeon just like the last one. But then it's like, oh, surprise, you have to go back in, and it's actually the first major dungeon in the game, and you get to face the first major boss. But it's still just a normal cave, which is kind of lame when you really think about it, because again, first major dungeon, it's kind of important. Oh, also trolls. They always look like they're screaming, and they can regenerate after each turn, but since there's only one, he should be dying in this turn. There he goes. But yeah, all the other major dungeons have, their own tile set and all that, so I don't know why this one doesn't. Oh, and I don't think I actually mentioned this before, but the music. Now, while I like the song on its own, anybody notice that really sort of high-pitched-ish beeping? The Game Boy Advance did have a few games which sort of had soundtracks that did that for some reason. Like, there's this... It's either this really annoying beep or a really high-pitched tone, which is very annoying and not at all catchy. The only other example I can think of off the top of my head would be the Silphco theme from Pokemon Fire Red. That fucking dungeon, man. Actually, no, it was just rocket areas in general, actually. But yeah, point I'm trying to make is, a few of the songs in this game are really kind of annoying because of a background noise they decide to add, which A is unneeded and B sounds really bad. But yeah, like the first part of the dungeon, the best part about this half is that it's very short. In fact, the staircase should be here, And we're actually on the last floor of the cave, which is very nice. And you want to know what's even better? There's no treasure on the floor, it's just one big maze. But the path is pretty easy to figure out. We just have to travel all the way over here, and we're actually at the boss. Yeah, that was pretty easy. But make sure to heal up first, because you don't want to die. I know, surprising, right? Actually, I didn't take too much damage, so that's good. Alright, we're ready to fight the first boss in the game. A yellow orb! Also, in the original version, there wasn't actually any dialogue here, you just fought the boss, but they actually decided to add text into the remakes. I don't know why he didn't have any dialogue in the original game, given, you know, all the other fiends do, but whatever. Apparently, Lich just wasn't special enough. Alright. Lord of the Dead, Fiend of the Earth, this is the first major boss of the game, Lich. Now, despite the fact that he is the Fiend of the Earth, he doesn't have any Earth attacks. Reason being is, Wake is actually a one-hit kill spell, and personally, I think it would be kind of cheap to just send you all the way down here only to kill you off in one attack. Who knows, maybe I'm the crazy one. Instead of that, however, he actually does have a pretty wide range of spells. Like this, for example. Yeah, he basically has all the second level of the normal spells for Blazara, and Thundara. I keep wanting to say Aga instead of Vara, but he also has quite a few status effect spells, actually. I believe he has, like, Sleep and Slow, some paralysis attack, I believe. And also, in addition, he does have a pretty good physical attack, which is why I should be using Invis and Protect on all my guys, because he can do some damage, which I wouldn't think a skeleton would do all that much, because, you know, they're just bones, but hey, he's a magic skeleton, so he hits very hard. Now, as you can see, normally, most attacks don't really do that much damage. If you fling stuff at him, such as fire attacks, not just one specific fire spell, but also Diara and stuff like that, he doesn't even take that much damage from those spells. Reason being, he's got a very high defense and resistance. Now, the thing about the major bosses in this game, such as Lich here, they're not very balanced. Like, they have a very high defense and resistance, but as a result, they don't have that much HP. And this is where buffs come in, because normally they're not that useful. I can fight Vampire, or Astrum, or wait, not Astrum, the other guys, all the mini-bosses, you just have to cut them down, they're no problem. But here, this would take a long time if you didn't use Temper or Haste. And if you don't remember, Temper raises your attack power, Haste raises your the number of moves you get, because, you know, there's no ATB, so instead, you basically just get a damage multiplier, sort of. Now, I'd say Temper is the more important spell to have overall, but honestly, they work better together. They complement each other very well, because if you have them both on, you should be doing quite a bit of damage, and if you do quite a bit of damage, then you should be ending these battles really quickly. Like, these buffs just take them down. Of course, Lich is kinda resisting death, which A is fitting because he's kind of already dead, technically, and B, he's got a lot of status attacks. Later bosses are actually really easy, but Lich here is actually going to fight the good fight. Of course, there's not much we can really do to increase any sort of elemental damage, so if you're going to use stuff like Fire or Diaga, or you shouldn't have Diaga by this point, but if you're going to use those attacks, just be aware that even though he's technically weak to them, they're not going to do that much damage. Jeez, he's still hitting me pretty hard. Good thing I have the Protect spell on. And see, it did less than 100 damage, but that was the one that killed him. Okay then, well, sure, why not? Sorry, Lich, but you had to die in an anticlimactic fashion. That's just how it goes. But with him out of the way, we can finally restore the Earth Crystal. It's been a little bit of a long time since we started this whole game. Not too terribly long, but after all this time, we finally restored our first crystal. The others will come much more quickly. Trust me on this one. But with that, we actually unlock the first bonus dungeon in the game, which I'm not going to go into for quite a bit. I will show it off eventually, though, because it is pretty easy. And that statue went to heaven, apparently. I don't know why, but whatever. At least no one has to look at it anymore. So, luckily they give us a handy teleporter right there. Very nice of them. And with that, we're back on the overworld. Well, not much to say now. Next time we'll get back on our boat and sail across the world and see if we can, do anything else from this point onwards, because we just restored the first crystal, so we're pretty great. So, see you next time. I already did!